Good. Good evening, Mr. Ashish.
Good evening.
So, Iqbal bhai, I think so we are on the roll now.
Yep, we are still at 5:29.
Okay.
We have to follow the BMPA rules of being bang on time. So we'll give all the participants a few more seconds, you know. जब गवर्नमेंट के स्टिमुलस के लिए इतना रुके तो वेबिनार के लिए तो थोड़ा रुक ही सकते हैं.
So we have Mr. Iqbal at his best now.
So friends who are already in, a lovely good afternoon and a good evening to you.
Iqbal, you have gone on mute. Yeah.
No, I purposely put myself on mute. I was telling you there's some disturbance in the background. Can you hear it now?
Absolutely. You are sounding perfect. No problem.
Okay, so great. So friends, welcome to the webinar from BMPA. हम लोग को तीसरा लॉकडाउन, चौथा लॉकडाउन. I don't know whether there's going to be another one. In the meantime, we were all desperately waiting for the stimulus from the government, which has come. A nice big fat amount of 20 lakh crores. Each one of us was desperate in finding out कि भाई इसमें मेरा क्या. So today we decided that rather than have individual questions कि भाई इसमें मेरा क्या, we said let's have a webinar. Let's call the correct people to give us this answer. So we have a power-packed team of people who are going to give these answers, especially for our printing and packaging industry. And it is going to be moderated by our treasurer of the BMPA, Mr. Tushar Bhotika. So over to you, Tushar. And let's enjoy this. Have question and answers. Please put them on the chat so that Tushar can take those questions even later on. Thank you, Tushar. Please take off.
Thank you, Iqbal. Good evening, friends. We are here to talk about the government package, the Atmanirbhar package. Frankly, I think it's a fantastic package, and that's the reason I've taken off. As you can all see, I'm sitting right now on a beach. You can see the palm trees and the sea waves behind me. Jokes apart. So we have tried to partner with Motilal Oswal, who are a co-host for the day. And we have Mr. Anshul Sinha representing them, along with his senior, the Deputy Managing Director of one of their verticals, Mr. Ashish Shankar. And along with, we have from PwC Price Waterhouse, Mr. Nitin Vijayvargi and Mr. Anshul Jain. They will be talking on around 7 subjects on which the government has sort of taken out a package and the impact of that package. The first one is on the MSME industry, then on the banking and RBI announcements made by the government and the measures for loan and security moratorium. Third one is measures for NPA of loan accounts. Fourth is the tax impacts, direct and indirect taxes, as well as the GST refunds and related reforms. We will also talk about labor laws with respect to EPF, salary, wages, which has been a huge concern for all of us. And then, of course, they will come specifically to the printing and packaging industry, what the package has in store for us. So we, as you know, BMPA follows strict timelines. So the speakers will be talking for around 1 hour, around 15 to 20 minutes each, which will be followed up by question and answers. A lot of the questions have already been curated by some of us. Everybody else who has a question, I request them to line it up in the chat box so that we can place the questions at the end of the webinar when the speakers have finished. At the same time, before I hand over to Anshul, I would request everybody to try and put off the videos so that the streaming is not a problem, because bandwidth, as we all know, is a bit of a problem, as well as to ensure that they are on mute. Thank you very much. Over to you, Anshul Sinha.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Hello.
Prashant, please put everybody on mute except Anshul. Yes, Anshul, go on.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank the association BMPA, Honorary President Mr. Nitin Shah, Honorary Treasurer Mr. Tushar Bhotika and Iqbal ji for giving us the opportunity to organize the session. I would also like to thank Mr. Prashant Shah for helping us in logistics. So the speakers for the event are Mr. Ashish Shankar. So he will begin the session, give an overall perspective on the stimulus package, talk over the broad economics around it, and then we will go into specifics with Mr. Anshul Jain and Mr. Nitin Varghya from PwC. Mr. Ashish Shankar is Deputy Managing Director and Head of Investment at Motilal Oswal Private Wealth. He has been instrumental in evolving the 4C framework for selecting equity and fixed managers in India. He is the author of monthly research publication book named Alpha Strategist. He appears regularly on leading public business media channel to give views on economy, markets, and investments. Mr. Shankar has also authored several articles on investments, capital market, economic outlook in several leading dailies and financial publications. Ashish sir has completed his senior leadership program from Harvard Business School and is an HBS alumni. He has over 19 years of work experience across asset management industry, advisory, research, and product roles. We welcome you, sir, and thanks for joining the session. Over to you, please.
Thanks, Anshul. I think that was a very detailed introduction. Okay, so like Anshul said, I think my expertise is macroeconomics, sectoral research, and then their impact on different asset classes. Of course, we do have a lot of wealth clients who are in the packaging industry. So we have been speaking to a few of them to understand what has been the impact. Now, if one were to see how the government is going about the entire stimulus program, and here I'm not making a judgment on whether it's right or wrong, because a lot of people feel that it fell short of expectations, and there is a lot more which could have been done, or probably it could have been done a lot earlier. So I'm not here to pass a judgment on it, but I'm just trying to think through what could have been the motive behind whatever they've done. So if you look at the sequence of events, it started at the beginning of the lockdown by announcing a 1.7 lakh crore package. This was more social in nature, where they announced a program to distribute food and to put some cash into the really marginalized section of the society at the beginning. Then a lot has been done on the banking side, because what happened after this crisis is liquidity in the banking system froze up. So essentially what RBI started doing was something called OMO, which is open market operations, where they started buying up bonds in the open market and putting cash in the hands of banks. They did something called LTRO, right? Now, I know this is a jargon that we've been hearing for a while, but I just wanted to, maybe make it simpler for everyone here who are not bankers. LTRO is basically long-term repo operations. So RBI keeps infusing liquidity into the banking system, which is, let's say, 1 month, 3 months, 6 month kind of liquidity through something called repo operations, where they essentially repurchase securities from banks and put liquidity into the banking system. Now, why they chose to do LTRO is under LTRO, they've given banks 1 year and 3 year liquidity. So what happens is banks get something called durable liquidity. So if a bank gets money for 1 year, it can accordingly plan lending a little more medium term or longer term, and they know that this liquidity is going to be around for longer. So they started doing LTRO. Now, subsequently, what RBI figured was that there is a lot of money which is getting accumulated in the banking system, and you would have heard that banks have 7-8 lakh crores. But what they're doing with this money is they're going and parking this back with RBI only, right? So it's not serving the purpose. RBI is giving money to banks, and banks are giving money back to RBI. Now, this is not helping the economy, or this is not helping liquefy the markets. Then they came out with another instrument called TLTRO. Now, what is TLTRO? It is targeted long-term repo operations, which means they said that they laid down about totally between the first one and this monetary policy, they've laid down about 2 lakh crores. Now, in the first one, they said, okay, this 1 lakh crores, whatever bank borrows, 50% of it will go to buy corporate bonds. Then they said the other 50%, of which 50% will go to finance larger NBFCs. The remaining 50%, they said you will have to buy papers of the smaller NBFCs. Now, what are they trying to do through this? Is they're trying to force banks to go and buy papers of corporates or NBFCs which are in much need of this liquidity, right? So they did 2 rounds of TLTROs in the first phase, and the first phase they did it when that Franklin Templeton fiasco happened, and then they did it when they announced the lowering of interest rates. What RBI has also done is they have lowered the policy rates, right? Today, if you look at repo rate, it is or reverse. There is a repo rate and there's a reverse repo rate. The difference is the RBI lends to banks at the repo rate, and banks park money with RBI at the reverse repo rate. So reverse repo rate is close to 3.335%, and the system is flush with liquidity. Now, as a result, what has happened is that interest rates in the money markets, and if you see liquid funds, which some of you may have been investing in, has dropped to as low as 3.5% or 3.2, 3.3%. So it has helped in lowering interest rates in the banking system. All this has also helped is it has helped in lowering interest rates for the high quality corporates and PSU bonds. So PSU bonds or high quality corporate bonds, I'm talking about HDFC, L&T, Aditya Birla, those kind of institutions. For them, the interest rates have dropped to closer to 5.5%, 5%. In fact, Bajaj Finance, which is a high quality NBFC, in between borrowed at sub 5 also. Banks have started borrowing at sub 4%. So it has alleviated the pain in the better part of the corporate bond market. The last LTRO which the RBI announced and the schemes which the government announced shortly have also now brought relief to some of the lower rated NBFCs. So the people like Shriram Transport or let's say, I mean, their bonds were actually trading at 11, 12, 13%, and they were not getting refinanced in the public markets. Even for them, liquidity has become easier. So to an effect, the secondary market liquidity is improving. Now, why is this important? Is because a lot of NBFCs and financial institutions finance a part of their borrowings from the secondary market. Secondary market is basically the bonds and the capital markets, rather, the bonds, short-term commercial papers, so on and so forth. So if they don't get refinancing, they virtually become illiquid because the asset side, the payment comes over time. And right now what is happening is that because you have to give moratorium, which has now got extended to 6 months, you're not getting liquidity from the asset side, but you have to keep refinancing the liability side of your book. Now, liability side of the book is more acute and problematic for people who have a mismatch, which means, let's say your loans are 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but your borrowings are getting refinanced every 3 months, right? So those borrowers are facing acute pressure. Now, because of liquidity, a lot of people can go bankrupt, and hence this was absolutely necessary to do, right? Now, this issue is even troubling SMEs, MSMEs, and a lot of people on this call must be running medium to small enterprises, right? And in a lot of your cases, you have a shop to run, you have salaries to pay, you have fixed costs. But on the other side, what I'm hearing from people in your industry is the receivable cycle is getting elongated. So even very high quality clients are pushing back the payment from, let's say, 30 to 45 days. And in a lot of cases, you have to go along with them because these are very high quality long-term clients for you. And on the other side, you have payments to make. Now, this is also some kind of a mismatch that is there in your books, right? So one, I think the 6-month moratorium definitely helps because you can postpone your payments to banks. So it gives you some kind of a relief. But the trouble is really, you have addressed the liquidity, but a lot of firms are going to, because it's not that you don't have to pay it back, right? If it's a housing loan and it's a 15-year loan, basically what the housing finance company will do is it'll push back your EMIs 3 more years. Because essentially, if you push back if you take the moratorium of 6 months, the interest on these repayments adds up to such a large amount that you have to push back the loan tenor by 3 or 4 years. So actually, a lot of the individual borrowers, I keep telling them to be wary of moratorium and use it as the last resort. But in case of businesses, what happens is once the moratorium gets over, obviously you have to start paying back, and this interest also accumulates. So I think the real challenge is you have put liquidity right now, so it's some kind of an alleviation of pain. But how do you still ensure that this liquidity become a solvency issue? I think that is a challenge in front of the government. The other challenge was that in spite of putting all this liquidity, bankers were not lending. So that's why this new package that the government has unveiled, right, is trying to do three things. One, what they're trying to do is they're trying to give sovereign guarantee for 20% of the additional loans that SMEs and MSMEs take, so that banks don't have to worry about credit risk, and banks do not have to also worry about risk weights. Because the other challenges banks have right now is they're getting a lot of money in savings bank deposits, and that just tells you the risk aversion. To give you a number, last 2 months, 60% of the deposits have gone to SBI, which just tells you people are extremely risk averse. Now, banks are getting a lot of liquidity, but what happens is it's a very peculiar technical thing. And, I don't want to delve too deep into the technicality, but I'm just telling you what the challenge is. See, how does a bank lend? It has capital, right, through tier 1, tier 2, which basically then becomes the base for the banks to create a liability book, right? So they borrow deposits against this capital, and then they lend it out. Now, against every loan that the bank lends, there is a certain risk weight that the RBI attaches, right? Now, based on that risk weight, RBI has prescribed an amount of capital that the bank has to keep. Today, the other challenge is for a lot of the PSU banks, they've got a lot of deposits, right? So technically, they can lend out a lot of money, but against every loan that they make, they have to keep aside some capital. And a lot of the PSU banks are not adequately, I'm not talking about the private banks, a lot of the PSU banks are not adequately capitalized for risk. So I think this is another challenge that the government has to solve at some point in time. So these are some of the challenges that still remain. Of course, the measures that have already been taken, I mean, I'm not going by that 20 lakh crore announcement. I think there was a big number announcement to be made. It was made. It's included everything, right from the liquidity that RBI has put in, the liquidity injection that the government has put in, the guarantees, the food and agricultural programs that they have launched, right? They've included everything into it. And I'm sure all of you have seen enough messages which have, also been on the lighter side as to how this number totals up to 20 lakh crores. So I'll not delve into it. But essentially what the government is doing, if I just delve into the mind of the government, wrong or right, is they feel that this entire crisis is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And India, as a developing country or an emerging country, doesn't have, unfortunately, the luxury that the West has. Because today, our combined fiscal deficit, fiscal debt, that is states and central government, is about 80%. 75%. The moment it starts going beyond 80%, the international rating agencies get very, very worried. Fiscal deficit is going to go out of hand. It's going to be 12, 13, 14% this year, because first 3 months itself, GST collections have fallen short by, about 70% every month. So maybe 2 lakh crores. So obviously the fiscal is going to look very, very bad. Now remember, even if the government, let's say there's a lot of demand from many of you, and maybe some rightly so, because that's what the US is doing, where they're actually putting cash in the hands of the companies. They're crediting current accounts of companies to pay salaries. They're taking care of salaries of people, saying, don't sack these people. You pay their salaries off. We will fund you the money. Now, can the Indian government do it? Maybe to an extent. But beyond the point, remember this, that tomorrow, if the government has to reduce the fiscal deficit and repair this balance sheet, because this 1 year, a lot of rating agencies will ignore this excess, right? Because they will say these are special times, COVID times. Similarly, all countries are doing it, okay? But in the future, you have to repair your balance sheet, and you can only repair your balance sheet by increasing your income, right? And GDP growth is not going to come back. So which means much higher taxes for all of us. So we have to remember this. Whatever we ask for is going to be recovered from us in the future, right? But at the same time, the way I see it is a marathon, And I think government is not done with all the possible measures that it can take. And as and when the economy starts opening up, I think they will take more measures from a liquidity as well as from a solvency point of view to induce more cash. Our view is from an actual liquidity point of view. I think all these policies put together has resulted in probably about 3.1 to 3.5 lakh crores in terms of actual liquidity injection. Rest of it is by way of contingent guarantees or some of the monetary measures that the government has taken. So they've been reasonably conservative in terms of the fiscal side of the package, and I'm happy to take more questions as we move along. What I understand is that from a packaging industry point of view, obviously a lot of people, I mean, the industry as a whole, I understand, is operating anywhere between 30 to 50% utilization, because on the packaging side, at least the essential companies, essential sectors are operating, like pharma, FMCG. I think a lot of these companies are doing well, and a lot of you are, stepping up to the situation and managing to supply packaging material. Of course, a large part of the economy, which is, auto ancillaries, durables, white goods, etc., are shut, and they're slowly coming back to life. So I understand and I hear, and I'm happy to take, I'm happy to get your thoughts. I'm told that by July, August, hopefully you should be back to 70, 80% kind of utilization levels. But I think what is most important now, I think the focus has to move from this health to economy, and the faster they open up, I think that will be the biggest stimulus, to be honest. So with that, I think, Anshul, I am done with my introductory part of what I had to say, and hopefully we'll take more in the Q&A section.
Thank you so much, sir. It was quite informative and does give perspective to the views. It does set the ball rolling to our next speaker, Mr. Anshul Jain. Mr. Anshul Jain will explain the fiscal policy in further details, labor laws, and legality around it. Mr. Anshul Jain has over 17 years of experience.
Yeah, Anshul, sorry, just one thing I
yeah.
mentioning, they've done a lot of FDI changes, right? Which I think are very, very, they're quite disruptive, to be honest. I mean, literally, they've opened up the sector which was most taboo, defense. So defense, mining minerals, atomic research. And I think over time, a lot of money can come in. And they are open to opening up every sector. That's what they've announced. And that's a big, big announcement to make. The only challenge is, like I said, it's like telling a thirsty person in the desert that 100 kilometers down the line, there is a party and an oasis, but the guy is today thirsty and he needs the water to survive. So that's the challenge right now, which everybody must be having at the back of their mind. But I'm just telling, some of these FDI measures can have a pretty positive impact once things settle down. So that's all I wanted to conclude.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Anshul Jain, who is a partner at PwC, and his role includes deals, taxation, and regulatory services. Mr. Jain is based out of DLF Cybercity, Gurgaon. Mr. Anshul Jain has over 17 years of experience in corporate structuring, mergers and acquisition, private equity, and regulatory space. His focus has mostly been in the area of transactional advisory, regulation, corporate structuring, financial and strategic investment, spin-off, joint ventures, foreign collaborations, and various other types of commercial contracts. He has also been leading the advisory in the space of stamp duty laws and its implication in the large merger and acquisition and restructuring of the transactions. Mr. Jain has also recently been involved in large bankruptcy and stressed asset acquisition transaction as an advisor to the creditor resolution professional as well as acquirers. He has led acquisition of such companies under financial stress and financial institutions in dealing with stressed asset. Mr. Jain has also been advising various ministries and government departments in the area of corporate laws, insolvency and bankruptcy code, stamp duty, etc. He has also advised clients in various stake shareholders and management disputes and have represented them in NCLT and high courts in the matter related to operation and mismanagement. We welcome you, sir, and over to you. Vinay, may I request you to share the slides, please?
Thank you, Anshul. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anshul Jain, as Anshul Sinha had just mentioned. I'm a partner with the tax and the regulatory practice of PwC India. As my previous co-panelist had mentioned, clearly these are challenging times for all of us. While on the personal health front, we all are dealing with the pandemic and are struggling to stay safe from COVID. On the business front too, companies are facing challenges with respect to try and stay afloat and deal with the liquidity issues and other teething problems like mobility and workforce. In order to safeguard the businesses, government has also come out with certain benefits and announcements in the recent past. While RBI on one hand has been giving some of these reliefs in the form of moratorium, etc., some banks like SBI, PNBs and all have also stood up to the cause and have released products like COVID line of funding, wherein they are offering working capital financing to existing customers at discounted rates. So whenever we can move to the next slide, please. So what we have done is in the next one, please. In the current slide, we have listed out some of the reliefs that have been offered to the existing borrowers. When is the next one? The first one being the moratorium, which is being prescribed by the RBI in 2 tranches of 3 months each. In the first tranche, they had announced the moratorium on all installments for 3 months on term loans and working capital facilities. This was then subsequently extended to another 3 months in the latest announcement made by the RBI governor this week. On the front of working capital facility, the deferment of interest for 6 months was announced, and the accumulated interest for the period can be converted into a funded interest term loan, which shall be repayable not later than March 31st, 2021. There are some other benefits which have been given to borrowers, wherein lenders will recalculate the drawing powers of the borrowers and restore margins to the original levels by March 31st, 2021. All these reliefs that are being provided are provided to the existing borrowers, be it MSME, be it smaller organizations, or be it large organizations. I'm just trying to cover these slides so that it gives you a context of what is the government trying to do in terms of reducing the pain points for people, for the borrowers, in terms of liquidity management and trying to save the cash. Another important feature that has been announced while we all are waiting for the notification for the same is the proposal for suspension of fresh initiations of insolvency matters for a period of 1 year. The government in recent past has increased the default threshold from 1 lakh to 1 crore, whereby it helps the MSMEs to not be pushed into insolvency in case of defaults less than 1 crore amount. Since these are smaller amounts, the MSMEs are required. Since these are smaller amounts, the MSMEs are allowed to do the settlements outside the insolvency process and are not pushed into insolvency. Now the government is announcing to suspend the IBC for a period of up to 1 year. We need to see the fine print of what the government has finally thought through and come out with in terms of whether they will be pushing the suspension for 6 months or 2 tranches of 6 months each or 1 year as a whole. But effectively, whatever the decision government will take in terms of suspending the IBC process, that will go in a long-term way for all the MSMEs to provide these benefits and not be pushed into the bankruptcy process. We also are hearing, while it's not been announced as a part of the package, but what the FM has announced is they will try and come out with a specific section 240A under IBC, which will specifically deal with the SMEs and how the MSMEs will need to resolve their insolvency processes if there is any default situation. Some of the other criteria of the reliefs that have been provided are, as I just mentioned, COVID line of funding, wherein the banks are providing at discounted rates of 7.25%, and they're extending the charges on the existing security which has been provided. When I can move to the next slide, please. In the next slide, what we have tried to now do is most of the participants belong to the MSME category. So certain important announcements were being made for them in the recent past. The government has first of all announced to enhance the limits of investments for the purpose of defining the criteria of being micro, small, and medium enterprises. From an earlier regime where only investment was the only criteria, they've now moved on towards a composite criteria of investments as well as turnover. The investments limits have also been increased significantly. In the current slide, you can see some of the investment limits that we have highlighted, that it is either in order to be classified as a micro or a small or a medium enterprise, the investments of 1 crore and turnover of 5 crores, or investments of 10 crore and turnover of 50 crores, and investment of 20 crores and turnover of 100 crores is required. We are still waiting for a new notification vis-a-vis defining these limits. We are hearing, as you all are, from various public sources, that the government might also provide some more relief, and there may be certain additional thresholds which will be prescribed more than the investments and the turnover. But irrespective, even this existing criteria that has been provided is definitely a welcome relief, and this help all these smaller entities who otherwise were not able to qualify the investment criteria, but were either able to qualify the turnover criteria or any new criteria that the government will be providing in. Now they will be eligible to get the MSME benefits. So what are the benefits of becoming an MSME? And we can move to the next slide, please. So I've listed out some of the benefits here of in order to become an MSME, what are the benefits? But before we move on to this, may I request all the participants to please keep their phone on mute? There's a lot of noise in the background. Or maybe the host can mute everyone and except me.
Yeah, just hang on. In fact, I was just checking. Everybody is on mute, so I cannot figure out where the noise is coming from. Anyway, please carry on.
Sure, thank you. So in this slide, if you see, there are some broad 6 benefits that have been provided, which are available for MSMEs. The benefits range from providing collateral-free credit or some special schemes that come out for MSME sectors. The MSMEs get a preferred preference in the bidding process in various state government bids. They also get, in case MSMEs are in the process of their patent registrations, they get subsidies in the fees, as well as they get an assistance in getting the patents registered. There is a benefit that is already there under the MSME Act, which deals with providing a preference and a timely payment which is due to the MSMEs. Even government departments, when they release their payments, they give preferences to make the payments to the MSMEs. There are other benefits like lower tariffs or subsidies. So for example, in some of the states, if you set up your manufacturing facility and you apply for an electricity connection, there are lower tariffs for MSMEs that are available, and you need to provide your MSME registration certificate, and that certificate will be able to provide you access to those lower tariffs. Moving on to the next slide, in the specific COVID time, the announcements that the government has made, these are some of the announcements which are available for MSMEs and for companies like you in the printing packaging sector. Now, the first and the most important one is regarding disallowing global tenders for tenders up to 200 crores. Now, this is a huge impetus which the government is trying to provide to domestic manufacturing, including MSMEs, where up to 200 crores, if there are any procurements that needs to be done by the government, they will issue domestic tenders and will not issue global tenders. The necessary amendments to this effect in the general financial rules has already been effected, and the same is already notified. Yeah. In terms of social security benefits, the another one is that government has announced that under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan package, the 12% EPFO payment for the 12% contribution by the employer as well as the employee, that for the eligible establishments, the government will be making that. This support has already happened in past 3 months, and this will also be extended for another 3 months till August 2020. The government, as I mentioned earlier, the government also had previously accepted the proposal and is already notified that within 45 days, the payments of MSMEs have to be released. Otherwise, there is a special interest penalty that is levied on those MSME payments. Some more tax benefits which are provided under this in these COVID announcements is regarding the reduction of the TDS and the TCS rates, the faster processing of refunds, and reduction and the whole reduction process of the TDS and the TCS for the remaining part of FY 2021. All of these benefits, as my previous co-panelist had mentioned in his opening remarks, all of these are aimed to provide liquidity, larger liquidity in the hands of the MSMEs, and access to larger business opportunities within the country, so that they can quickly come back to their stand back on their feet and are able to sustain their liquidities and pay their salaries and the working capitals. Moving on to the next slide. Now, these are the 3 fiscal packages which the government has announced, and I can see there are a lot of questions around these packages. It is only the first package which there are some certain there are some detailed guidelines which have been prescribed by the government very recently they came out with a detailed policy on this, where they had announced an emergency credit line guarantee scheme, the ECLGS. This is the top line number of 3 lakh crores that we are all talking about, and this is the scheme which the government has announced, wherein they have asked the MSMEs to take from the banks and NBFCs up to 20% of the entire outstanding credit as on February 29, 2020. Who are the eligible borrowers? The borrowers are the ones who already have an outstanding credit up to INR 25 crores and have a turnover of INR 100 crores. The tenure is 4 years. The form of funding is in the format of working capital loans in the case of banks or financial institutions, and in case of NBFCs, this will be in the form of additional term loans. There is already a moratorium of 12 months that the scheme will entail on the principal repayment. So the interest needs to be paid back on time and needs to be serviced. 100% of this credit guarantee will be covered to banks and NBFCs on principal and interest, and there will be no guarantee. And this is the most important point, that there will be no fresh collateral which will be required to be provided to the banks to avail this additional funding or the additional guarantee scheme. The interest rate also is lowered to up to 9.25% for loan from banks and up to 12% for loan from NBFCs. And the scheme is valid till October 31st, 2020. So in MSMEs who are eligible under these guidelines, and there are detailed guidelines around this, it is as suggested, it is recommended that you go through the guidelines in detail, while the snippets we have tried to provide in this particular slide. But please go through the guidelines and consult with your advisors in terms of whether it is possible for you to avail these guidelines, and yes, then what is the maximum benefit that you can avail under these under this package, under this guarantee scheme.
Mr. Chan?
Yep.
Hi, there is a request. If you can keep the technical slides, and if you can use English, I mean both Hindi and English, because some of the customers really want to understand these slides. Okay, so if it is possible, okay, we want to, yeah, thank you.
Sure.
And to note that we have MSME people on the field. Okay, so they are wanting to keep it to their industry.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, Anshul. Moving to the next slide. So जैसा मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बताया, there are गवर्नमेंट ने 3 फाइनेंशियल पैकेजेस अनाउंस किए हैं. पहला फाइनेंशियल पैकेज है इमरजेंसी क्रेडिट लाइन गारंटी स्कीम, जिसमें गवर्नमेंट ने 3 लाख करोड़ का कोलैटरल फ्री लोन अनाउंस किया है. उसके बारे में अभी मैंने थोड़ा सा डिटेल में आपको बताया, और मेरा आपको सबको सजेशन ये है कि एक उसकी डिटेल गाइडलाइंस अवेलेबल हैं, आप उनकी डिटेल गाइडलाइंस एक बार पढ़ लें। उसमें 20% तक का आपका टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग क्रेडिट का you can avail the benefit, you can avail the existing the new fresh loan. The loan can be in the form of working capital loan या फिर term loan. अगर आप बैंक से या फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन से ले रहे हैं तो इट हैज टू बी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वर्किंग कैपिटल। अगर आप एनबीएफसी से ले रहे हैं तो इट विल बी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ टर्म लोन। इसमें कोई फ्रेश कोलैटरल नहीं देना है आपको। अगर आपने जो एग्जिस्टिंग कोलैटरल दे रखा है, आप उसी कोलैटरल के बेसिस पे आप एडिशनल लोन ले सकते हैं। एंड इसका टेन्योर रहेगा 4 साल तक का, और इसमें आपको पहले 12 महीने के लिए प्रिंसिपल रिपेमेंट पे मॉरिटोरियम मिलेगा। आपको कोई प्रिंसिपल रिपे नहीं करना है, आपको सिर्फ इंटरेस्ट की सर्विसिंग करनी होगी। जो बाकी 2 स्कीम्स गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस की हैं, इनकी अभी डिटेल गाइडलाइंस नहीं आई हैं, बट पहली स्कीम इट इज अवेटेड। वी आर होपिंग कि जो गाइडलाइंस आएंगी उससे काफी चीजें क्लियर हो जाएंगी। बट अभी जो हेडलाइन नंबर्स जो गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किए हैं, वो हैं, पहला इस सबऑर्डिनेट डेट फंड। सो इस स्कीम में ये 20,000 करोड़ की स्कीम है, जिसमें गवर्नमेंट उन एमएसएमईज के लिए काम करेगी जो कि या तो ऑलरेडी एनपीए हैं या स्ट्रेस्ड हैं और उनके बैंक डिफॉल्ट्स हैं। गवर्नमेंट उनको एडिशनल 4,000 करोड़ तक का क्रेडिट गारंटी फंड के तौर पे एक सपोर्ट देगी, जिसमें पार्शियल गारंटी देगी गवर्नमेंट बैंक्स को, और इन प्रमोटर्स को इस 20,000 करोड़ के फंड में से डेट दिया जाएगा, जो कि प्रमोटर अपनी यूनिट में फिर इक्विटी के तौर पे डाल सकता है। तीसरा अनाउंसमेंट जो गवर्नमेंट ने किया है, अगेन इसकी गाइडलाइंस आर अवेटेड, बट जो हेडलाइन स्निपेट्स हैं वो है कि एक फंड ऑफ फंड्स गवर्नमेंट अनाउंस करेगा, जहाँ पे जैसे कि काफी सारे स्टार्टअप्स हैं या काफी सारी एमएसएमईज हैं जो कि लोन नहीं लेना चाहेंगी, बट उनमें इक्विटी इन्फ्यूजन की वो कोशिश करेंगी, तो उसमें फंड ऑफ फंड्स बनाया जाएगा 50,000 करोड़ का। इस इक्विटी फंडिंग में गवर्नमेंट उसकी ग्रोथ पोटेंशियल और उसकी वायबिलिटी देखेगा, एंड उसके बेसिस पे उस फंड ऑफ फंड से ये पैसा उन एमएसएमईज को दिया जाएगा। इसके लिए गवर्नमेंट डिटेल्ड गाइडलाइंस लेके आ रहे हैं, जिससे ये पता लग जाएगा कि कौन कौन सी एमएसएमईज आर एलिजिबल फॉर दिस एंड व्हाट आर द क्राइटेरियाज दैट नीड्स टू बी फुलफिल्ड फॉर देम। मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट सेक्शन, इस सेक्शन में वी आर ट्राइंग टू कवर द लेबर एंड द वर्कफोर्स इश्यूज। ये बहुत बड़ा इशू है इस इंडस्ट्री के लिए, और ना सिर्फ इस इंडस्ट्री के लिए बल्कि सारी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप्स के लिए, जहाँ पे सरकार जहाँ पे लोगों को कोविड के टाइम पे, क्योंकि एवरीथिंग वाज लॉकडाउन, बिजनेसेस बंद थे, फैक्ट्रीज बंद थी, लेकिन सरकार ने एक नोटिफिकेशन निकाला 29 मार्च को, जिसपे सरकार ने बोला कि आपको अपने वर्कर्स की वेजेस पे करनी होगी, और अगर आप वर्कर्स की वेजेस नहीं पे करते हैं या वर्कर्स को निकाल देते हैं, तो फिर दैट विल बी अ क्रिमिनल पेनल्टी अंडर इंडियन पीनल कोड। उस नोटिफिकेशन या उस ऑर्डर की वजह से काफी कंफ्यूजन हुआ। सिमिलर नोटिफिकेशन जब ये 29 मार्च को सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने ये ऑर्डर निकाला, उसी के कुछ दिन पहले एक लेबर ऑफिस ऑफ कमिश्नर ऑफ लेबर गवर्नमेंट महाराष्ट्र ने भी एक स्पेसिफिक सर्कुलर निकाला था मार्च 20 को, जिसमें उन्होंने लिखा था दैट एनी वर्कर टेक्स लीव then he should be deemed to be on duty without any consequential deduction in wages। यानी आप अगर कोई छुट्टी लेता है तो आप उसकी सैलरी या वेजेस नहीं काट सकते हैं। फर्दर अगर आपकी फैक्ट्री या प्लेस ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट इज नॉन ऑपरेशनल कोविड की वजह से, तो एम्प्लॉइज ऑफ सच यूनिट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी ऑन ड्यूटी, यानी कि उन्हें ड्यूटी पे माना जाएगा। अब इन नोटिफिकेशंस और इन ऑर्डर से हुआ ये कि सारे एम्प्लॉयर, सारी फैक्ट्री ओनर्स के लिए प्रॉब्लम हुआ कि उनका एक तरफ बिजनेस बंद था, लेकिन दूसरी तरफ सरकार के कहने पे उन्हें सैलरीज या वेजेस कंटिन्यू देनी पड़ी, और उसके उन्हें अपने एम्प्लॉयज या वर्कर्स को वैसे कोई नहीं निकालना चाहता, बट अगर इफ द सिचुएशन इज सच आप निकालना पड़ा तो भी आप निकाल नहीं पाएंगे। ये ऑर्डर और नोटिफिकेशंस फिर आगे जाकर चैलेंज हुए सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी और वेरियस हाई कोर्ट्स में। यहाँ पे इस नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में हमने हाईलाइट किया है कि बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट में ये क्यों ये चैलेंज हुआ था अलाइन कंपोनेंट्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड के केस में, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ये चैलेंज हुआ था हैंड टूल मैन्युफैक्चरर्स और लुधियाना हैंडलूम्स के केस में। इन दोनों ही केसेस में अभी तक जजमेंट्स नहीं आई हैं, बट इन चैलेंजेस के बाद दो चीजें हुई। पहली चीज ये कि सरकार ने 18 मई 2020 को जब फोर्थ लॉकडाउन अनाउंस किया, तो उस फोर्थ लॉकडाउन में सरकार ने अपने पुराने ऑर्डर को रिवोक कर लिया। यानी कि अब 18 मई 2020 से सरकार का पुराना मार्च 29 वाला ऑर्डर इफेक्टिव नहीं है। और अगर 18 मई के बाद से कोई भी कंपनी, कोई भी फैक्ट्री अपने वर्कर्स को निकालना चाहे या उनकी सैलरीज रिस्ट्रक्चर करना चाहे तो वो लीगली कर सकते हैं, उनके ऊपर कोई बंदिश नहीं है। दूसरी बात ये हुई कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑल्दो जजमेंट नहीं आया, बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ने ये जरूर बोला कि मार्च 29 से लेकर मई 17 के पीरियड के बीच में जब सरकार का वो ऑर्डर वैलिड था, उस पीरियड में भी अगर किसी ने ऐसा कोई एक्शन लिया है कि किसी ने अपने वर्कर को निकाल दिया है या किसी ने वर्कर्स की सैलरी कम कर दी है या रिस्ट्रक्चर कर दिया है, तो उनके अगेंस्ट भी सरकार कोई एक्शन नहीं लेगी जब तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट फाइनल डिसीजन नहीं देगा। तो एटलीस्ट कुछ लेबर कमिश्नर्स, कुछ लोकल लेबर अथॉरिटीज जो कि एक्शन लेना शुरू कर चुके थे, एटलीस्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट की उस इंटरिम स्टे ऑर्डर की वजह से एटलीस्ट वो एक्शंस सारे बंद हो गए। एंड कंपनीज लाइक योर्स, दे हैव ऑल बीन बेनिफिटेड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट स्टे ऑर्डर। फाइनल उसका जो जजमेंट आएगा एक बार वो देखने वाला होगा कि उस जजमेंट में क्या लिखी है सुप्रीम कोर्ट, बट एटलीस्ट टिल दैट टाइम आप लोगों के ऊपर ऐसा कोई भी अब लीगल रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है। एक लास्ट स्लाइड है मेरी जिसको मैं कवर कर लेता हूँ। नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट स्लाइड पे जाएं। इसमें आई हैव ट्राई टू कवर द ईपीएफओ एंड द ईएसआईसी इश्यूज। सो हम सब ने एक चीज ये देखा कि सरकार ने 12% से घटाकर उसे 10% कर दिया, जिससे कि 2% एम्प्लॉयर का बच जाए और 2% एम्प्लॉय का बच जाए और दोनों के हाथ में 2-2% पैसा एक्स्ट्रा आ जाए। पहला एक्शन सरकार ने ये किया। दूसरा एक्शन सरकार ने अपनी ईपीएस स्कीम में अमेंडमेंट लाया, जिससे उन्होंने जितना भी विड्रॉल ऑफ अप टू अमाउंट ऑफ बेसिक वेजेस एंड डियरनेस अलाउंस फॉर 3 मंथ्स और अप टू 75% ऑफ द अमाउंट स्टैंडिंग इन द क्रेडिट टू ईपीएफ अकाउंट, ये आप ईपीएफ अकाउंट से क्रेडिट निकाल सकते हैं, विड्रॉ कर सकते हैं। एंड ये चीज इससे सारे एम्प्लॉइज के एटलीस्ट हाथ में पैसा आएगा। तीसरा उन्होंने किया कि उन्होंने रिलैक्सेशन दिया अपनी मंथली कंट्रीब्यूशन में। अगर उनके मंथली कंट्रीब्यूशन की जो पेमेंट जो डेट थी 15 तारीख, उसे उन्होंने बढ़ा दिया और उन मंथली कंट्रीब्यूशन की डेट, इससे ये हुआ कि कंपनीज के हाथ में जो पैसा उन्होंने कंट्रीब्यूशन करना था वो कंट्रीब्यूशन अब थोड़ा सा आगे चला गया, आगे सरक गया और कंपनी उस कैश को अब यूज कर सकती है अपने बिजनेसेस के लिए। I'll take a pause here and I'll hand over to my colleague Nitin, who will cover the indirect tax updates, जो भी indirect taxes में benefits आए और जो भी इसमें updates हुए हैं पिछले कुछ टाइम में, जो कि आप MSMEs को और आप जैसी companies को directly impact करते हैं। Over to you, Nitin.
Thanks, Anshul. Good evening, everyone, and I wish good health for all the audience. And very big thank to BMPA for giving this opportunity to interact with all of you virtually. Can you move to the next slide, please? Next one. So I think what we have heard so far, no, the previous one, sorry. Vinay, can you move the previous one? Yeah. Thank you. So what Anshul mentioned earlier is that there are a lot of changes in the tax part, and we thought GST, where many of us it impacts our operations. We all know that generally जो भी GST के changes होते हैं वो government budget में करती है, but COVID की वजह से जो भी changes किए हैं, they are obviously kind of from last 2-3 months they have been announcing these changes. Not major kind of announcement in the relief package, because they did all these announcements from last 2-3 months. The biggest announcement what they did is that जिसका भी turnover 5 करोड़ से नीचे हैं, उनको 3 महीने के लिए GST का deferment allow किया है without any interest. जिसका turnover 5 करोड़ से ऊपर है, उसको एक reduced rate of interest, generally 18% interest रहता है, but 9% की interest पे उनका महीने का moratorium that you can defer.
Hi. May I request audience to keep the phone on mute, please? Prashant ji, can you please have a
Anshul, I think all the audience is on mute.
Okay.
Probably it's your background or Mr. Nitin's background.
Sorry, I don't have any background noise. So okay, now I think we can proceed. So 5 करोड़ के ऊपर अगर आपका टर्नओवर है तो मोरेटोरियम दिया है 3 महीने का, लेकिन उसमें इंटरेस्ट लगेगा 50% ऑफ द इंटरेस्ट, whereas 5 करोड़ के नीचे अगर आपका टर्नओवर है तो कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. So therefore one of the factor which Ashish was mentioning earlier, that why the GST collection has gone down, because of the fact that people are using moratorium also. Not only moratorium, but yes, the sales has come down. So therefore, that is also contributing less collection of GST. Government की जो administration है, they are working, I think, from home. Many of the people, they are working from home. Some of the offices, they've started coming to offices. Our experience is that, and Anshul also mentioned earlier, जो refund processes हैं, जो भी refund अटके हुए हैं, government उसको one by one ले रही है, and our experience is that they are really supporting for any refund which is due. Now, obviously, we will have to make sure that all the documents are submitted. Many of these processes are made online. अगर आप GST portal पे जाके सारी information अगर आप देते हैं, within a period of 1 week onwards, they will start giving you the refund. तो जिसका भी refund अटका हुआ है, kindly make sure that you reach out to the officer and request them, provided you have given all the set of information. So therefore, explore the refund opportunity. Government is very kind enough to giving in this difficult time, which is a good step. Second important change जो government ने किया है कि सबको मालूम है कि credit जो है, input tax credit तभी मिलता है जब supplier has deposited the tax to the government portal, to the government treasury. And therefore, जब तक वो match नहीं होता है credit government portal से और आपके purchase register से, you are not entitled to take credit. कुछ महीनों पहले गवर्नमेंट ने 10% का केपिंग किया था कि 10% से ज्यादा मिसमैच अमाउंट का क्रेडिट नहीं ले सकते हैं. गवर्नमेंट ने सितंबर 2020 तक ये रिलैक्सेशन दिया है. अगर आपके पास इनवॉइस है, even though your supplier has not deposited GST to the government portal, to the government treasury, you can take full credit. But September 2020 onwards, you need to make sure that your supplier is depositing the tax. Otherwise, it would entail some kind of interest. So आप ये देखिए कि सितंबर तक तो आप परचेज बुक्स के आधार पर ले सकते हैं, लेकिन मेक श्योर योर सप्लायर इज डिपॉजिटिंग टैक्स बिफोर सितंबर 2020. जैसा मैंने बोला है कि एक्सटेंशन दिया है उन्होंने 5 करोड़ से ऊपर और 5 करोड़ के नीचे. तीसरा पॉइंट उस पर है. सेकंड, फोर्थ पॉइंट हियर इज दैट बहुत सारे केसेस में ऐसा हो रहा है कि आपने एडवांस लिया है टुवर्ड्स सर्विसेज. एडवांस टुवर्ड्स सर्विसेज इज रिक्वायर, वहां पर आपको GST पे करना होता है. अगर आपने GST पे कर दिया और आपके कस्टमर ने वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कैंसिल किया है, गवर्नमेंट ने एक अनाउंसमेंट किया है कि उसका जो भी टैक्स आपने भरा है वो आप रिफंड ले सकते हैं गवर्नमेंट से. आपने गुड्स सप्लाई किया है, उस पर टैक्स पे किया है, लेकिन गुड्स कस्टमर ने रिटर्न कर दिया है, गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया है कि उसका आप रिफंड क्लेम कर सकते हैं. So, जहां पर भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आपके कैंसिल हो रहे हैं, जहां पर भी आपके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फोर्सफुली क्लोज हो रहे हैं और जहां पर आपने दिया है, वहां पर आपके पास एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है टू गो बैक टू द गवर्नमेंट एंड क्लेम रिफंड. कुछ चीजों में गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया था लास्ट ईयर की मार्च 2020 तक EOU स्कीम, एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड यूनिट अगर आप हैं, अगर आप मटेरियल ले रहे हैं एडवांस ऑथराइजेशन में और EPCG में, वो स्कीम्स मार्च तक खत्म होने वाली थी. लेकिन गवर्नमेंट ने कंसिडरिंग दैट कोविड सिचुएशन एंड लॉट ऑफ डिफिकल्टीज, ये एग्जेम्पशंस जो हैं आपके, जो आप इंपोर्ट करते हैं ड्यूटी फ्री पर और उसको मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके जब एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं ऑब्लिगेशन का, गवर्नमेंट उसको पहले मार्च 2020 तक खत्म कर रही थी. उन्होंने 1 साल का एक्सटेंशन दिया है. बहुत सारी स्कीम्स पे जहां आप एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं लेकिन रियलाइजेशन का एक लिमिट था अंडर फेमा, वेयर यू हैव टू कलेक्ट द मनी विद इन 9 months. गवर्नमेंट ने उसको भी एक्सटेंड किया है एज पर फेमा रेगुलेशन. सो जहां पर भी आपको पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है और आपका एक्सपोर्ट बेनिफिट अटका हुआ है, वहां पर इस रिलैक्सेशन से आपको काफी बेनिफिट मिलेगा. चौथा पॉइंट जो है कि जहां पर भी आपका डिटेंशन डेमरेज हो रहा है, गवर्नमेंट ने, पोर्ट अथॉरिटीज ने एडवाइजरी निकाला है कि आपके आपसे मेनली द गवर्नमेंट पोर्ट्स, मेजर पोर्ट्स, वहां पर आपको डिटेंशन और डिमरेज चार्ज वेव ऑफ किया जाएगा। तो जहां पर भी आपके ऐसे इंटरनेशनल ट्रांजेक्शन हैं जो कि डिटेंशन और डिमरेज चार्जेस लग सकते हैं, वहां पर ये एडवाइजरी के थ्रू आप जाइए, आपका डिमरेज और डिटेंशन चार्जेस वेव ऑफ हो जाएगा। कैन वी मूव टू नेक्स्ट स्लाइड? ये स्लाइड आपको ये बताती है कि जहां पर भी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चेंज गवर्नमेंट ने किया है कि जो ई इनवॉइस आने वाला था 1 अक्टूबर 2020 से, वो उन्होंने डेफर कर दिया है। दूसरे जो भी आपके गवर्नमेंट ने एक बड़ा अनाउंसमेंट किया है, एंड यू वुड हैव हर्ड फ्रॉम द एमएसएमई मिनिस्टर दैट मेनी ऑफ दीज companies who are actually making imports, the government wants to make sure, and there is already an announcement that we have to be vocal for local, and therefore to make sure that there is a huge amount of value addition in India, government is going to come with the import substitution policy. इसके अभी नियम कानून बनने वाले हैं, लेकिन ये पॉलिसी काफी हद तक एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए अच्छी होगी, बिकॉज इसमें जब इंपोर्ट्स कम होंगे तो जो भी लार्ज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर्स हैं वो एमएसएमई और एसएमई सेक्टर्स पे डिपेंडेंट होंगे, क्योंकि जो भी आप रॉ मटेरियल, पैकेजिंग मटेरियल आप बनाएंगे, इंस्टेड ऑफ दे इंपोर्टिंग, they will have to forcefully buy from the local manufacturer. We will see how this rules and policies will be framed. Possibly through our association we should also make some representation to make sure that the government comes out with some kind of policy which helps us to make sure our products, our capacity is increasing on that account. There are certain customs related changes, perhaps we can skip. Can we move to the next slide? Now, in this situation, COVID situation, everybody is looking at how do I conserve cash? How do I actually make sure that my credit and credit on my GST on the purchases, how do I make sure that the credit is available to me? Many times we are seeing that while the material is supplied, while the services have been provided, my customer is not paying any tax. Not paying the base value as well as not paying the tax. GST provision कहीं आपको रिलैक्स नहीं करता है कि अगर आपका कस्टमर आपको पे नहीं कर रहा है, can you say that okay, I don't need to pay GST? GST is required to pay even if there is a bad debt, even if the customer is not paying. And therefore, in this situation, you need to be very sure that in cases of bad debts, whether you can issue a credit note immediately or can you defer your time of supply to mitigate the GST, because अगर आपने supply कर दिया, there is a liability that within 30 days you have to pay the tax. So therefore, जो भी आपके contracts हैं, जो भी आपके AMC contracts हैं, जो भी आपके continuous supply वाले contracts हैं, आप whether it is your supplier or whether it is your customer, आप उन contracts को देखिए कि कहाँ आपके पास ability है to defer the point of taxation, to defer time of supply. Otherwise, अगर आपने invoice issue कर दिया, you are liable to pay GST, because that is where the GST provision will come that within 30 days from the date of supply and date of issue of invoice, you have to pay tax. तो यहाँ पर आपको थोड़ा सा सावधानी बरतना पड़ेगा कि unnecessary आप trigger point नहीं करें, otherwise it could cause you to pay GST, and if you're delaying, then it will cause some kind of interest. Currently, if you look at many of the companies, many of us, we are contributing towards CSR expenditure. There are certain mandatory material, there are certain mandatory expenses, be it of sanitization हुआ, mask हुआ, ये चीजें आप अगर employees को दे रहे हैं, ये चीजें अगर आप CSR expenditure कर रहे हैं through the company, which is also a mandatory part under the company law, government has not come out with any kind of directions. But since these are mandatory expenditure, for example, medical insurance for employees, etc., these are mandatory. These are on the basis of the government directions. So therefore, यहाँ पर एक opportunity है कि जहाँ पर भी आप expense incur कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पर GST है. Can we take credit? थोड़ा सा dicey है, लेकिन काफी companies इस पर argue कर रही है कि this is because of the mandatory direction and we should be entitled for taking credit. EPCG एडवांस ऑथराइजेशन, जहां पर भी आप इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट के ट्रांजैक्शंस कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट ने आपको एक्सटेंशन दिया है फॉर एक्सपोर्ट ऑब्लिगेशंस. जहां पर भी एक्सपोर्ट ऑब्लिगेशन नहीं मीट हो रहा है, आप जाके अप्लाई करिए DGFT को, एक्सटेंशन के थ्रू आपको रिलीफ मिलेगा. कुछ लोग जो एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं जहां पर MEIS और ACIS बेनिफिट्स हैं अंडर फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी, उसके लिए भी एक्सटेंशन दिया है गवर्नमेंट ने। अगर आपने एप्लीकेशन नहीं फाइल किया है फॉर 18, 19, 19, 20, you have an additional period to file that application, so that these are the avenues, these are the options available where आपको benefits हैं। आपको थोड़ा सा बैठ के उन ट्रांजेक्शन्स को देखना पड़ेगा। जहां पर भी आपने एप्लीकेशंस फाइल नहीं किए बिकॉज ऑफिस चालू नहीं था, आपके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि वो रिफंड, वो आप बेनिफिट्स, एक्सपोर्ट रिलेटेड बेनिफिट्स जो भी हैं उसको आप इनकेश कर सकते हैं। कैन वी मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज? These are certain transactions, these are certain opportunities which the government has announced. Specifically, जो लोग import export के business में हैं, वहाँ पर government has come out that you can have an AEO certification, authorized economic operator, जहाँ पर आप अगर import कर रहे हैं तो आपको 15 दिन की छूट मिलती है, ड्यूटी पे नहीं करना होता है, और इसमें आपको एक ग्रीन चैनल फैसिलिटी है। सो ये फैसिलिटी बहुत अच्छी है। इट इज इन लाइन विद द ग्लोबल प्रिंसिपल। जहां पर भी आपके ज्यादा इंपोर्ट और एक्सपोर्ट ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं, ये आप सर्टिफिकेट लीजिए, रजिस्ट्रेशन लीजिए, वहां पर आपको ड्यूटी डेफरमेंट मिलेगा, आपकी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट भी कम हो जाएगी बिकॉज आपका वेटिंग पीरियड कम रहता है। दूसरा, गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया है, ऑफ कोर्स नॉट एज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस, बट 3-4 महीने पहले गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया है बॉन्डेड वेयर हाउस स्कीम, जहां पर आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग आप कर सकते हैं इस वेयर हाउस में। इंपोर्ट पे आपको कोई ड्यूटी नहीं लगेगी। जब आप फिनिश गुड्स इस वेयर हाउस से निकालेंगे तब जो भी आपने ड्यूटी पोर्ट पे नहीं दी वो पे करना पड़ेगा। तो ये आपके पास दो ऑप्शंस हैं कि आप ड्यूटी डेफर कर सकते हैं। यहाँ पर आपको काफी वर्किंग कैपिटल एडवांटेजेस है, कंप्लायंसेस काफी कम है। इसके लिए आपको ये स्कीम्स देखना चाहिए जो भी इंपोर्ट और एक्सपोर्ट में इन्वॉल्व हैं, because these are very good scheme from cash conservation as well as working capital benefits. Next slide please. रिफंड जैसा मैंने आपको बोला है, गवर्नमेंट इंटरेस्ट भी दे रही है। वी हैव सीन सम ऑफ द केसेस जहां पर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से डिले हुआ है अगर रिफंड, तो यू शुड आल्सो गो एंड क्लेम रिफंड, क्लेम इंटरेस्ट। वी हैव कुछ हमारे जो क्लाइंट्स है जहां पर गवर्नमेंट ने डिले किया है, ऑर्डर पास कर दिया लेकिन कैश नहीं दिया, वहां पर हमने इंटरेस्ट के लिए एप्लीकेशन दिया और इंटरेस्ट गवर्नमेंट ने दिया है। तो जहां पर भी आपको इस तरह की असुविधा हो रही है, आप कमिश्नर को फोन करिए, आप कमिश्नर को लेटर लिखिए, ईमेल लिखिए, यू विल गेट अ क्विक रिस्पॉन्स। सेकंड पॉइंट, अभी एक गुजरात हाई कोर्ट और कलकत्ता हाई कोर्ट का एक डिसीजन आया था जिसमें अगर आप कुछ फ्रेट पे कर रहे हैं, ओशन फ्रेट, उसमें इंपोर्टर को जीएसटी पे करना होता है रिवर्स चार्ज में। दोनों हाई कोर्ट ने इसमें रिलीफ दिया है। तो अगर आपका कोई ऐसा ट्रांजैक्शन है जिसमें आपको जीएसटी पे करना पड़ता है ओशन फ्रेट पे, आप उसको बंद कर सकते हैं, या गवर्नमेंट के पास जाके अगर आपने टैक्स पे कर दिया है तो क्लेम भी कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। ये एक स्कीम जो महाराष्ट्र इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी में है, अंशुल ने थोड़ी देर पहले आपको बताया था कि इलेक्ट्रिक, अगर आप एमएसएमई हैं और आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है तो आपको एक पावर टेरिफ पे रिडक्शन मिलता है। तो वो जो स्कीम है दैट कम्स अंडर महाराष्ट्र इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी। गवर्नमेंट इज फोकसिंग अ लॉट कि आप नया इन्वेस्टमेंट अगर लेके आ रहे हैं तो उस नए इन्वेस्टमेंट में आपको किस तरह के बेनिफिट दिए जाते हैं। तो एमएसएमई एसएमई सेक्टर्स के लिए देयर इज अ लिमिट दैट अगर आप 50 करोड़ तक का इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं तो आपको काफी बेनिफिट्स गवर्नमेंट दे रही है। उसमें अगर आप देखेंगे बेनिफिट्स वुड बी टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ आपको स्टैम्प ड्यूटी कंप्लीट एग्जेम्पशन अगर आप वो लैंड एक्वायर कर रहे हैं। दूसरा, पावर टेरिफ सब्सिडी जहां पर आपको 50 पैसे से लेके 1 रुपए तक पर यूनिट में एग्जेम्पशन मिलता है। कुछ जो एरिया है अगर वहां पर आप इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं जो कि लीस्ट डेवलप्ड एरिया है, वहां पर आपको जीएसटी जो पे किया है उसका एक पोर्शन आपको रिफंड मिलता है एज ए सब्सिडी। इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ड्यूटी आपको बेनिफिट मिलता है, नो ड्यूटी और मे बी अ लेस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ड्यूटी, ये आपको सारे बेनिफिट्स हैं। गवर्नमेंट ने प्रिंटिंग पैकेजिंग में एक एरिया थ्रस्ट एरिया के रूप में दिया है, दैट इज कॉल्ड 3D प्रिंटिंग अंडर इंडस्ट्री 4.0 प्रोग्राम। अगर आप 3D प्रिंटिंग में हैं तो उसमें आपको इंक्रीमेंटल 20% बेनिफिट्स हैं टू द नॉर्मल एमएसएमई विच इज वेरी गुड, और आपको उसमें प्रेफरेंशियल ट्रीटमेंट मिलता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ लैंड अलॉटमेंट एक्सेट्रा। सो अगर आप किसी आप देख रहे हैं कि मुझे इस एरिया में इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है तो गवर्नमेंट ने काफी पैकेज दिए हैं, गवर्नमेंट ने काफी सब्सिडी पैकेज दिए हैं, उसको आपको ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। और जब आप इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं उससे पहले आपको गवर्नमेंट के पास जाके ये स्कीम के अंतर्गत आपको एप्लीकेशन देना पड़ेगा, और जो भी बेनिफिट्स आप प्रोडक्शन करेंगे उस समय से लेके 7 से 10 साल का एक पीरियड है, उस पीरियड तक आपको बेनिफिट मिलेंगे। तो जो भी आप इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं, जो भी आप एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन अपॉर्चुनिटी क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, उसके द्वारा गवर्नमेंट आपको ये सब्सिडीज 7 से 10 साल तक देती है ओवर पीरियड ऑफ 7 to 10 years। सो ये एक अच्छी स्कीम है अगर आपका उद्देश्य है कि आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है इन दिस पीरियड। ऑफ कोर्स इट्स अ डिफिकल्ट टाइम, बट अगर आपका ये उद्देश्य है कि मुझे इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है, तो प्लीज रीच आउट टू द महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट। दे विल बी कीन टू give you memorandum of understanding and agree that what are the benefits they would extend to. So maybe as a last slide, as a way forward, Vinay, next slide please. तो आपने इससे पहले वाला सर। So as a key takeaway from my session is that आप कहाँ आपके इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट जो जीएसटी पे किए हैं आपने आपके सप्लायर्स के बिल पे, उसको किस तरह से आप मैक्सिमाइज कर सकते हैं वो करिए। रिफंड के लिए आप पूरे प्रोसेस फॉलो करिए सो दैट आपको फास्ट रिफंड मिलेगा। एक चीज आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि गवर्नमेंट ने काफी डिजिटाइजेशन पे फोकस किया है। सो कुछ आपके जो टीम में है या जो आपकी एम्प्लॉइज हैं, उनको आपको थोड़ा ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन, बिकॉज अगर आप डिजिटाइजेशन प्रोसेस फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं तो आपको रिफंड में डिले हो सकता है, आपको रिटर्न फाइलिंग में डिले हो सकता है। इसके लिए आपको थोड़ा सा फोकस डिजिटाइजेशन में देना होगा। सेकंड चीज विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और आशीष ने भी उनके सेक्शन में बताया था कि जो भी वो बेनिफिट्स दे रहे हैं अल्टीमेटली वो हमसे ही वापस लेंगे इन द फॉर्म ऑफ टैक्स। इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ 2 or 3 months, गवर्नमेंट विल बिकम अग्रेसिव, दे विल स्टार्ट ऑडिट असेसमेंट्स एक्सेट्रा। तो हमको कहीं ऐसे लूज एंड्स नहीं छोड़ने हैं कि गवर्नमेंट आके बाद में एक डिमांड नोटिस समझ जाए इंटरेस्ट और पेनल्टी का। देयरफॉर 3-4 महीने में जहां पर भी हमारे से चूक हुई है, जहां से हमारे डिले हुई है फाइलिंग में, उसको रेगुलराइज करना है। और जो भी नई स्कीम्स हैं, इंडस्ट्रियल स्कीम है या जो भी नए अनाउंसमेंट्स गवर्नमेंट ने किए हैं, उसको आपको एक बार एनालिसिस करना है, और वो एनालिसिस के द्वारा जो भी आपको मिलता है कि ये बेनिफिट्स हमको इनकेश करना चाहिए, प्लीज मेक योर वॉइस, प्लीज मेक योर केस। गवर्नमेंट इज कीन टू गिव दीज बेनिफिट्स, लेकिन हमको उसके लिए प्रिपेयर होना पड़ेगा। तो ये 3-4 की टेक अवेज हैं जो आपको ध्यान रखना होगा, और जो भी बेनिफिट्स गवर्नमेंट दे रही है उसको तुरंत लेना चाहिए। So I will end my talk here only, and will invite questions from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin, for the enlightened speech and very detailed information. Next, we move on to the Q&A section, and I request Tushar sir to take this forward.
Yeah, okay. Thank you to all the 3 panelists. Vinay, if you could make the screen visible, or is the screen visible to everybody?
I have switched off the screen share, sir.
Yeah, okay, now it's come on. Thank you. Wait. Hello? Thank you to Mr. Ashish Shankar, Mr. Anshul Jain, and Nitin Vijayvargi for sharing the knowledge with the participants. Now, we have already listed out a few questions, and we can try and take them one by one. And in the meantime, anybody who wishes to have some more questions for the panelists, he can put it on the chat box, and we can try and take it up from there. So the first question it's on the NCLT Act. So there has been a relaxation in the NCLT Act for filing demand and insolvency proceedings for amounts below 1 crore against the debtors. So can one of the panelists tell us that what will be the recourse for amounts below that going forward? Because in our industry, there are very many debtors whom we have much lower amounts, and for a printer, even a 5 lakh amount is a huge amount. So what kind of law recourse will we be able to take?
So, hi, this is Anshul this side. I will take this up.
Yeah.
Yes, you're correct. From the IBC standpoint, a default below 1 crore is not considered as a default anymore. What we are right now doing is the default which is there. If let's say below 1 crore, the remedial actions in the civil code and the DRT are available. While these remedies are available primarily to the financial borrowers, financial lenders, which are your banks and financial institutions and your NBFCs. But for the as a recourse to, let's say, the private operating parties, if there is a business default below 1 crore, the only recourse which is available is a civil recourse, which is going to the High Court or the respective district court and seek repayments or damages on that default.
This is similar to before the NCLT came in earlier.
That is correct.
So the next question is that the interest payments that we would have to make for statutory payments like GST, PF, etc., because of the additional period and time that the government has given to make the payments. We believe that in the normal course, these interest payments are not tax deductible from the income tax returns. So would these be tax deductible going forward? Mr. Anshul or Mr. Nitin, anyone of you could?
So as far as our information goes, I don't think there is any relaxation or any benefit to that extent. Nitin, you would want to add from the GST perspective, is there any relaxation to that account?
No, Anshul, there is no relaxation. So I think the question comes that obviously it is not in the penal form because the government has given the relaxation. So ideally it should be allowed, but I think there is no clarification, and therefore of course the representation have gone to the government to clarify it. Okay. So hopefully they should come back. But in our view, it should be available as a deduction.
Thank you. The next question is the enhanced MSME limits of capital investment and turnover. So, for example, for the medium sector, it's investment of 20 crores and turnover limit of 100 crores. Are they mutually exclusive, or even if one of them, you are beyond one of them, then you don't fall within that sector?
So Tushar, as of now, as I covered in my presentation, the notification is awaited. We need to see the fine print of the law, whether they are making it mutually exclusive or they both are complementary. What we are right now seeing from the presentation given by the FM when they announced the package was that the word used is "and." So presumably they are taking both together, but we need to see the fine print of the notification once it's released before giving the view on that.
Thank you. The next question is on the moratorium of term loans repayable to the banks. Now, before the government made this package announcement, the banks had already started recovering the installments, and the announcement came later. So is there any provision whereby which the term loans repaid or recovered by the bank during this period can be credited back to the borrower's account in case he desires so, to give him that additional liquidity?
So from the notification standpoint, from RBI's announcements, as well as the the COVID enhancement packages that have been announced by RBI, there is no clear guidance vis-a-vis where if the money has already been debited, is there any recourse to request that money back under law? But what we are seeing is, one simple answer could be that once the money is taken out by the bank, there is no legal recourse or no legal way of taking that bank. But it is still, we are still seeing some of the clients going out to the respective bank, reaching out to them and trying to see if either the money can be returned back, or they can be given that similar amount or maybe an enhanced amount in the form of a COVID line of funding, etc. So steps like these can be evaluated.
Thank you. Now the next question is, which I think Mr. Ashish Shankar also touched upon it a bit in his presentation, but just for the benefit, for more clarity. Now, although the RBI has reduced the repo rates and reverse repo rates directly impact borrowing rate, but as we see, particularly with private sector banks, they are all extremely reluctant to reduce the rates, which RBI has reduced by more than 1%. So could you again briefly just highlight the reason they are doing so, and maybe by when they would actually act upon the government guideline of reducing rates?
So to be honest, a lot of banks have reduced rates in the sense that it really depends what your rate is linked to. SBI had introduced a repo linked loan. So as the repo goes down, automatically your loan should get repriced. Similarly, some of us are on MCLR. Now, automatically as the bank's cost curve comes down, they do reprice these rates. So what happens is most loans are priced as a spread above a certain benchmark rate within the bank. Now, as they bring down the benchmark rates, these loans should get repriced. I'm just telling you, I've got SMSs on loans where bank has repriced the MCLR or the repo link loans where the rates have come down. So they should ideally come down. If they are not come down, then the businessman should reach out to the banks and find out what is the policy rate at this point in time. Frankly, the banks' lending rates will get repriced at a much lower rate than what happens in the money markets. Because what happens is, just think about it. Let's say bank has 100 rupees of deposits, right? Now, the incremental deposits that the bank is getting is coming at a lower rate. But the older deposits are still priced at the higher rate. So any commercial bank will definitely want to keep their margin. So typically ICICI Bank can all works at 3.5% spread, which is a private bank, right? So slowly as the cost curve comes down, the banks will start repricing their asset side. The asset side always gets repriced much more slowly. But yes, I mean, you should reach out to your banks and find out. Sometimes, they send you a very cryptic message saying, hey, it's come down, but you need to do this documentation or you need to confirm because banks always make it very difficult for lending rates to come down. So I think proactively people should reach out and ask them, what's the policy? What is my loan linked to? And what is that benchmark?
So I would just like to share here, and maybe the Price Waterhouse team, Mr. Anshul and Mr. Nitin may be able to enlighten us. I believe RBI came out, of course, much before COVID. RBI came out with a circular sometime in February or March, mandating that all banks should have an external benchmark linked to their lending, in the sense that currently most banks have their own MCLR, which is their own cost of funds. But I believe RBI has mandated that all MSME loans given out by public and private sector banks need to be linked to an external benchmark, which could be the repo rate, which can substantially lower your cost of funds. So my humble submission to all the participants here, who are most of us MSME, is that please do reach out to your bank saying that RBI has mandated this and it is definitely valid from 1st April onwards, and get your loans linked to the external benchmark. And in that case, probably this reduction by RBI would have an immediate impact. And probably what Mr. Ashish is saying, that the cost of funds may fall over a period of time, but this could be even further beneficial for us. Thank you very much. Going forward, the next question is related to labor. This, just for clarity, again, it was there in one of the presentations about the Provident Fund withdrawals that the workers can do. As I understand, that a worker can withdraw 75% of the amount which is lying in the credit of his provident fund account, or up to 3 months wages, whichever is lower. So it's a non-refundable. So that means the money is anyway his and he can keep it. He does not have to fulfill the PF account again, right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So in case anybody has any follow-up question to that, please do let me know on the chat. Another question regarding this 20% extra working capital. Now, is that only for public sector banks, or is it for all scheduled banks as well as cooperative banks?
So this scheme that is being announced, if, as I said, there are detailed guidelines which have been announced. The scheme does mention that the scheme defines who are the member lending institutions, and there are 3 categories. One is the banks, so it covers all scheduled commercial banks. Then it says financial institutions, so all the institutions which are defined as per RBI as financial institutions. And then it talks about NBFCs. NBFCs which have been in operation for 2 years as on 29th February 2020. So all these 3 categories are member lending institutions and will be covered under this scheme.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question related to labor. So in one of the announcements made on the Atmanirbhar scheme, which is maybe not so much relevant for the state of Maharashtra, but we have many members who have factories in Gujarat and close by, that the ESIC scheme is going to be extended currently where it is not applicable so far. So is there any further government notification, anything mandating that, or it's still awaiting?
We are awaiting.
Still awaited. Okay.
Yep.
The next question is that the MSME loans which the government is planning to extend, has any rate of interest been fixed, or it is subject to the bank itself?
So no, so it is the rate of interest is a lower rate of interest up to 9.25% for loans from banks and up to 12% for loans from NBFCs. So that is already a part of the scheme.
Somewhere it says 7.25% is also stated somewhere. One of your slides also, I think, said that.
Yeah, that is the COVID line. That is the COVID line of funding. So before the fiscal package was announced by the finance minister, some banks in the initial days of April month, they came out with a product which was called COVID line of funding. That COVID line of funding is available, I think, if I remember correctly, up an amount of 10% of existing fund-based working capital limits, maximum of up to 2 crores. And the interest rate in those COVID line of funding is 7.25%.
Okay. So what is the eligibility for that?
So these are bank-specific funding products. This is not a product which is announced by, let's say, RBI or by the government. This is if you have existing lenders like SBI. So only a few banks like SBI, PNB, and if I remember correctly, BOB. They were the 3 banks who had announced this COVID line of financing, and it was primarily for working capital for their existing customers. From a product standpoint, I think the product that is being announced by the finance ministry or by the RBI is only the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which is that 3 lakh crore number.
Fine, thank you. Okay, the next question, it's a little bit long, so hear me out patiently. Under the new proposal for MSMEs who can borrow additional 20% collateral-free loan against their outstanding as on the 29th of February for a period of 4 years with a 1-year moratorium. The question is, if we currently have an exposure with a NBFC, can we take this additional 20% from our existing banker instead of the NBFC, as bank rates are capped up to 9.25%? As I understand, the question is probably, can somebody replace his NBFC costlier funding by taking that 20% additional from his existing banker and pay off the NBFC with the cheaper cost of funds?
So if you see, so if you have a banker, let's say a commercial bank, which is you are already a customer for that bank, then probably you can try and do this, what we call replacement of one lender with another.
So it's more a one-to-one rather than a government mandate.
Absolutely. But if you are, if let's say you are today only, let's say dealing with an NBFC, and you tomorrow want to open a bank account and a loan account with, let's say, SBI, then you are a new customer. Then you are not an existing customer.
Right.
And in that case, maybe this overlapping will possibly not be allowed.
Okay, thanks. The next question is, again, a little bit long. If one's bankers have extended immediate credit line over and above the existing facility immediately after lockdown under additional collateral considering COVID-19, will one still be eligible for the further additional 20% loan?
Answer is yes.
Okay, so I mean, whoever asked that question, I hope it's clear. Basically, just for simplicity, if somebody has already got an additional funding after COVID came in and before the government announcement came in, yes, he can still ask his bank for that further additional 20%. Right. Okay. The next question, I think it's already been answered about cooperative banks. Okay, one question relating to large industries which are beyond the scope of MSME. Has the government announced anything for large which are beyond MSME?
So there are multiple announcements being made for industries, but I think from if you are asking, if the question is, let's say, sector specific, answer is probably no. But there are some sectoral announcements which have happened primarily to open up the economy or open up the possibilities of businesses. But in terms of actual cash flow in the hands of, let's say, the large industries, I mean, if I remember correctly, none of the packages actually announced gave any fiscal relief to any of the large industries.
Okay. Next question regarding the MSME loans. In what form will it be offered? Will it be a term loan or a cash credit?
So this will be, if you see, that is covered in the slide also, this will be in the form of additional working capital term loan if you're taking it from a bank or a financial institution, and additional term loan if you are taking in the form from an NBFC.
Okay. The next question is related to GST. So GST payment relaxation is given to firms having turnover 5 crores. But there may be firms having multiple GST numbers because of being in various states. So would the consolidated turnover being more than 4 crores, 5 crores. So in which category will such a firm fall?
Yeah, so it is basically the turnover is vis-a-vis the entity. It is not vis-a-vis the registration. So therefore, one will have to be careful that while you're talking about turnover of 5 crore, how do you interpret, because they have defined the turnover criteria at an entity level, because there are many such.
It has to be the consolidated turnover of the full entity.
That's right.
Okay. The one more is, so this is relating to MSME a little beyond the announcements made by Atmanirbhar Bharat. So Honorable Minister Nitin Gadkari made an announcement of further enhancing the investment and turnover limits under the new definition of MSMEs. So would you be aware of, has there been any firming up or any progress on that?
We do know that, I mean, while we also have access to that announcement by Nitin Gadkari, the interview that he gave, we do know that the Ministry of MSME is actually working on some of these relaxations, and maybe are planning to come out with some more guidelines in terms of adding the investment criteria or some more criteria. But as of now, nothing is released, so we are just waiting for that to come out.
One more question on the bank's moratorium. So there are certain banks who are giving, putting the moratorium in place even if the customer does not want it. So is that a mandate of the government or one can refuse it?
This is not a mandate for the government. One can always go ahead and refuse it. This was a standard, this was a classic confusion which started especially for the home buyers and personal loan borrowers. You can, if you are capable and would not want to avail the moratorium, you can simply either not opt for it, or if let's say the bank has done this, then you can might as well go and make an application and opt out of it.
In fact, most banks, just to intervene, had sent a message to all clients asking whether you want to opt. So if a bank has been overeager and put you on moratorium, I'll be surprised, because most banks are worried about declaring their moratorium books in media, especially.
I think it happened mostly with the retail loans rather than business loans.
Yeah, initially it happened. There was a confusion. You're right.
Okay, one more question is there anything new in the Atmanirbhar package for a new startup, new manufacturing startup?
So I had mentioned one small point regarding the fund of funds, and which is the equity contribution fund, which will be announced. The retail guidelines will be released. We are expecting the startups or startup MSMEs to be benefited out of that. Another point is, if you register yourself as MSME, as I had covered in my slides, startups mostly work on tech and similar products. So maybe their patents or etc. They will get much more relaxations and lower fees and support in getting their patents registered. So that is maybe one more benefit for MSME startups which they can avail.
I think that about just on time, bang on time, 7 o'clock, it more or less completes all the questions we have on hand so far. Thank you very much. The panelist, Prashant, if Nitin Bhai, yeah, okay, you're not on mute. So we have a president here, Mr. Nitin Shah, president of the Bombay Master Printers Association, if you would like to say something.
Thank you very much, Anshul, for curating this event. And I think mostly everyone has liked this, and most of the questions have been answered in the way they require. And I would like to thank Tushar Bhai for moderating in this very such a way. And congratulations and thank to all the speakers.
I would just like to add here that if Anshul Sinha, who is from Motilal Oswal, if anybody wishes to get in touch with him for wealth management or similar investment related products, you can get in touch with him directly. His contact he will share. He's putting it here on the chat right now. If anybody wants to note it.
Maybe Vinay can share that once. Share on that.
Yeah. So.
Vinay.
So that's it. In case anybody needs any questions. Okay, so Anshul's profile is here. If anybody wants to notice contact details, it's there on the left just below his picture.
Tushar Bhai, just wanted to thank all of you. This is Ashish here.
Yeah.
For organizing this. I think it went off pretty well, and also wanted to thank Pricewaterhouse for partnering with us. Shul, I think it was very, very thorough, and I'm sure all the people here benefited from all the slides and the presentation that you made.
Yeah. So, thank you, Ashish. If I could request Mr. Tejas Tanna to give us the vote of thanks.
Before Tejas can give a vote of thanks, Sharabhai, are we going to put this video recording on YouTube or some other platform? There are
yes, we have recorded this and we should be sharing this on YouTube. So anybody who wishes to access this recording can do that maybe in a day or two. So Tejas, Prashant, is Tejas there? I don't see him.
He should be around.
I don't see his name on the list.
Thank you.
Okay, he's there. Yeah.
there. Thank you, Tushar bhai. So as it's rightly said, no duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. So I'm delighted to have been given the pleasant duty of delivering the vote of thanks this evening. It has been an enriching experience, and all the speakers have given the insights. So I am sure all our members have taken a lot of insights along with them. On behalf of BNPO, I would like to thank Mr. Ashish Shankar, Deputy MD and Head of Investments, Motilal Oswal Private Wealth, Mr. Anshul Jain, Partner PwC, Mr. Nitin Vijay Vaidya, Partner PwC, and Mr. Anshul Sinha, Associate Vice President, Financial Advisor, Motilal Oswal Wealth Management. And of course, our great moderator, Mr. Tushar Bhotika. And definitely, I would like to thank the entire audience for having the patience, and I'm hoping that everyone took something out of this. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.